Today on Toypixx, I picked my favorite kid. Well, hello there. I'm Photo Dave, and this is Toypixx. And if this is your first or 100th time on the channel, Toypixx is all about helping you and helping me get a whole lot better at our action figure photography. So all of my videos deal with that. I'll talk about action figures, I'll talk about trends in the action figure industry, what's a hot topic that's going on. I'll talk about photography, photo equipment, tips, tricks, tutorials, Photoshop, how-tos, all that good stuff. So if that sounds like something that you're into, go ahead and click subscribe. Now, as for today's video, I'm going to be talking about action figures, specifically the top 10 action figures in my collection, the ones that I consider my favorites. And if you've been paying attention, you know that I'm very picky about what comes into the collection. I'm always curating. ABC, always be curating. And so every figure I've got, I think, is pretty awesome. And when you get to the top 10, whoo-wee! These are all phenomenal figures. And if they're not in your collection, you make me sad. But even in a collection like this, even when you've got all kinds that you really dig, there really can only be one favorite. So today, we're going to count down those 10 to that number 1. Let's get started. Coming in at my 10th favorite figure in my collection. That's right, folks. Normally when I do one of these countdown things, I say, hey, in no particular order. This time, we're going in an order. And it breaks my heart a little bit, but it's the Medicom Mafex. And again, I say Mafex because it sounds mightier than Mafex. Psylocke. Now, she's a great figure, and she's definitely the best Psylocke that's ever been made. And I say that having had the Marvel Legends previously. I love the way, just look at this, just look at the video right now. Look at the way the light reflects off the blue. It looks incredible. I will say she came with great parts. The only things that are keeping her down this low at number 10 are the fact that I wish her head were just a little bigger. Now, most of the time, I'm not going to complain about heads stylistically because that tends to be an artistic choice. But I do wish her head were a little bigger, and I wish she herself were a little taller. I believe in the comics she's supposed to be 5'10 or 5'11. And when you stand her next to the other characters in here, she looks more like she'd probably be around 5'6", 5'7". So I do wish she were a little taller. Still, this is definitely the best Psylocke that's ever been made. I'm a huge fan. Like I said before, even though she's at number 10, these are all 10 incredibly stellar figures, just like the other 37 figures in my collection. That's right, everything I collect, stellar. Okay. Let's go to number 9. Coming in at number 9 is another Medicom Mafex figure. We have Cyclops. Yeah, the reason he's at number 9 is because he is not an absolutely perfect representation of who he's supposed to be, unlike the remaining 8. When you get to the remaining 8, it's basically preference of character at this point. But the only reason I have Cyclops this low, I mean, you look at his uniform, he is Jim Lee to a T, is because the harness that he has is just it's a little too tight, so you can't articulate him as much as you'd like to. I think if the harness came down maybe 1/8 of an inch more, you could get all the poses you could possibly want out of Cyclops, and he would be phenomenal. He'd be a little higher on the list, but I digress. He comes with a couple extra heads, one with the sunglasses, one with more gritted teeth. He comes with several hand options. He has a couple beam options. I mean, he's a great figure. Don't get me wrong. Again, they've never made a better comic book Cyclops. I just wish his harness were just like an eighth of an inch longer. Maybe we could even get away with like a 16th of an inch longer. I don't know. But that's what keeps him down at number 9. Now we have number 8, which almost hurts because the previous two were Medicom Mafex, and this is a Hasbro G.I. Joe classified, but I gotta tell you, I love this figure. If you've been paying any attention to what I post on Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, any of those where I put up pictures, these guys are always the foil, no matter who it is. Wolverine's taking them on, Batman's taking them on, Superman's taking them on. Of course, Snake Eyes and the rest of the Joes have taken them on. I love this troop builder figure. This is the Target exclusive Cobra Island Cobra Trooper. Now, one thing I'm going to do with all these figures is I'm going to leave links so that you can purchase them if you want to in the description below. This guy, however, I can only find on eBay. So what I'm going to do is instead leave you a link of the figure that is similar to him. It's basically a repaint of him, but a lot of people still like him quite a bit. The differences are the other one, besides being a repaint, he doesn't come with the red band you see on this one's arm. He doesn't come with the goggles, and he doesn't come with the long sniper rifle that you see on this one's back. So I will leave a link to that figure because he should still be pretty cool for most people's collections. The reason I wanted this one as opposed to that one is this one, just with its darker color palette, looks creepier. And that's just something I like about the Cobra Goons, is I really like it when they look creepier. And that earns this guy the number 8 spot of my top 10 favorite figures in my collection. Coming in at number 7, we've got the Medicom Mafex Gumbo. Sorry, that's what Wolverine would call him. We've got the Medicom Mafex Gambit. Now this, folks, like I said, in these figures right now, these are perfect representations, and it comes down to just how much fun I've had with them, how cool I think they are compared to some of the other characters, all kinds of just subjective criteria at this point. And I think Gambit's a cool figure. A lot of people think that this was probably one of the top Medicom Mafex figures of 2021, and I won't take that away from a soul. This is a phenomenal figure. Again, easily the best Gambit that's ever been made as far as comic styling is concerned. He comes with all kinds of effects, comes with all kinds of hands, a slightly angrier head. This guy is an incredible figure. So what keeps him at number 7? I mean, everybody from here on up is perfect, as is this Gambit. It really comes down to complete subjectivity, so don't hate me because I have opinions based on biases. Yeah. Okay, let's get on to numero 6, or 6. And at number 6 is the Hasbro Pulse exclusive G.I. Joe classified Snake Eyes. I love this figure. This is probably, well, this is my favorite classified figure to date. Now, I'm somebody who growing up didn't really like the ninja stuff in G.I. Joe. Like, I was cool with Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow. But anything beyond that, just wasn't a big fan. Now, even saying that, my preferred Snake Eyes was the Commando version, and I have that one as well. But this figure is so perfect and so well articulated, so well put together. Sometimes you have G.I. Joe classified figures where their hips are kind of stuck. You feel like you might break them with the drop-down hinges. This thing is so smooth and so great that I don't have that problem at all. Just a perfect figure. And because this is the Pulse exclusive version, he came with a big kind of weapon storage rack that you see way back in the background there, off to the right, and a ton of weapons to go on there. He came with a couple extra hands. This is just an absolutely phenomenal figure. And again, he's pretty pricey on the secondary market, so what I'll do is I'll put a link to him on Amazon, but keep an eye for him on eBay too if this is the one you want. I'll also put a link to the repaint of this one, which is the one a lot of people prefer because he's pretty much the all-black version, and a lot of people like their Snake Eyes to be the all-black version. And I understand that from a historical standpoint, but I've never needed that. I had the all black version and I just thought this one looked cooler for what I like. But, as always, your mileage may vary. Now, on to number 5. Coming in at number 5 is the Medicom Mafex Batman Hush Joker. Now, I know a lot of people look at this figure and they're not so sure about it. They don't like the stylization of the head or whatever. They don't like the way Jim Lee did the Joker. But until you've held this figure in your hand, you don't know just how perfect it is. This thing is the perfect, maniacal, crazy, nut job Joker that we all know and love. So what keeps him at number 5? Because really, the figure itself, awesome. He comes with plenty of hands. He comes with a head with gritted teeth. He comes with a knife. What keeps him at number 5 is Warner Brothers' fault themselves. When they sent down the edict to say, we can't give these things any guns, they basically hosed the Joker. I had to buy him this Tommy gun. And that's why he's at number 5. But honestly, I have stayed on top of the action figure news for the last several years. And I have never seen a Joker that I was tempted to buy, and I have to say, the Batman Hush line has been a godsend for anybody who's even a bit of a DC fan who wants their figures both incredible and in 6-inch scale. And this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommended. If you don't get them, you make me sad, and you may want to sleep with one eye open because, like I say, he's nuts. So now, let's go on to number 4. Coming in at number 4 is the Medicom Mafex Batman Hush Catwoman. Now, you guys have probably heard me talk about her if you've been paying attention, watching the channel for a while. Catwoman is one of my absolute favorite figures to photograph. And yeah, I said that in one take. You should commend me. But one of the reasons is you can see I've got my knee-wear lights off to the left and to the right. And you can see just how well her costume kind of reflects that light. It looks like it's one of those leathery type outfits that you would imagine Catwoman would be wearing. And so when you light her up, you just get really cool effects when you put her, well, under the lights while lighting her up. She also has pretty great articulation. I mean, Medicom Mafex always does that. She's a little limited in her elbow range, but I think that has more to do with the fact that her limbs are so small because you just can't do a whole lot without possibly breaking the figure. But yeah, I'm just hugely impressed. I mean, like I said with the Joker, Medicom's Batman Hush line, which she's from, is just my favorite subline out there. I think they're just absolutely crushing it, and I'm super stoked to have this pretty much definitive version of Catwoman in my collection. I'm not even sure I need another Catwoman, he says, while contemplating maybe getting other Catwomen in the future. Who knows what the future brings, but I will tell you right now, this figure, perfection. Perfection. I should stop talking now. Coming in at number 3 is a figure that no child of the 80s or the 90s would turn down if they knew what was good for them. This is the Medicom Mafex Brown Suit Wolverine. This thing is the perfect Wolverine as far as I'm concerned. And believe me, I've been collecting Wolverine figures for a number of years. One day I might even do a video on my Toybiz 5-inch collection of Wolverines, which is frankly ridiculous. But this Wolverine is the Wolverine that I've always wanted and never knew. Now, I always knew that the brown costume was my favorite costume when it comes to the old knucklehead, but I just didn't know it could be done this well. The only thing I will say that could make it so that I purchased another Wolvie in his brown costume like this is if Medicom Mafex decided to make the yellow a little more orange and give him the buckle on his belt. At that point, I might double dip on the brown suit Wolverine. But for now, this bad boy is absolutely phenomenal. It comes with a couple other pairs of hands. It comes with a downed cowl. It comes with kind of a smiling head, which is kind of fun. But then it also comes with an unmasked head, and that's the one area with Wolverine where I feel like Medicom Mafex could use some improvement. But again, I realize that the head choices are artistic choices. So I can't really bust the figure too hard on that, especially when the heads with the mask on are this good. So there you go, folks. That is NumberThree, the third favorite figure that I have in my collection. With Wolverine, we began the top 3 figures, and I have to say, on any given day, any of these top 3 figures could be my favorite figure in my collection. We all know how that works. It just totally changes day to day, depending on your mood, depending on your attitude, all that good stuff. But today, the number 2 figure in my collection is the Medicom Mafex Batman Hush Blue Batman. Now, I say blue because the black version is also out there. He's in my pile of loot at Big Bad Toy Store. I just need a few more figures to show up so I can have him sent my way. But right now, this was my introduction to the Medicom Mafex line, and it kind of made it so that anything that wasn't this good, that wasn't this well articulated, that didn't come with this much stuff, kind of just felt second rate. I know, that's kind of messed up. But this figure is everything I want Batman to be. The last time I think they made a phenomenal Batman figure as far as the comic book is concerned was in 1984's Superpowers collection. So when this one finally came out, it felt like literal decades that I'd waited to get a hold of a great Batman, because it was literal decades. Like I say, this is everything I want in a Batman figure. Now, he's pretty pricey on the secondary market right now, but the black suit version, which I'll leave a link to both in the description, but the black suit version is coming in a lot cheaper, and from what I understand, his cape is a lot easier to work with. This one has all kinds of hands, a couple heads, including a Bruce Wayne head, and a cape that is huge and a little heavy. And so hopefully the black suit version, even when he comes my way, the cape will be a little easier to manage. So there you go. Still, I love this figure. And with the other 9 figures out of the way, this brings us to my number 1 favorite action figure in the collection, at least as far as today is concerned, the Medicom Mafex Batman Hush Superman. Yeah, this figure got my figure of the year for 2021, and it's the same rationale that I had for Batman. The last time a truly great comic book figure of Superman came out was in 1984's Superpowers line. Now, again, that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but this figure is something that was decades in the making as far as I was concerned. And the way that they just knocked it out of the park, tons of hands. He comes with the parts for when Poison Ivy controls him in the Hush storyline. He comes with another head where he has the gritted teeth and the glowing eyes getting ready to fire off his heat vision at Batman. The only thing I wish it had, and I can't even blame Medicom for this because he didn't have this in the storyline that this figure is based off of, I wish he had a friendlier face, just a friendlier head option. And that is one thing that I will get if Medicom comes out with a Superman with just a slightly happier face. Maybe a Return of Superman line, Superman with that, or maybe if they decide to go old school Man of Steel and it's John Byrne head, whatever. That's all I wish this thing had. Otherwise, this is absolutely the perfect Superman, the perfect Man of Steel, and definitely the perfect way to cap off my top 10 favorite action figures in my collection list. And there you have it, folks, my top 10 favorite figures in my collection. Now, next year, this will probably look wildly different because I have a whole lot of pre-orders coming in this year, whole lot of fancy figures coming in from fancy companies. So we'll see. We'll see how much this changes. Anywho, you know the drill. Comment below. Let me know what you think of my top 10. List your top 10. Let's see what your favorite figures in your collection are this time of year. And hey, with that, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. And as always, folks, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.